everybody, welcome to Tasty Treats. My name is Miss Terry, and today we are going to be making cheesy potato pie. Ingredients that we're going to need are some hash browns or potatoes, mozzarella cheese, vegetable oil, all-purpose flour, baking powder, salt, pepper, and 1 egg. Things that we're going to be needing to make our pies: some bowls, fork, knife, measuring cups, a rolling pin, a frying pan, and an oven, or stovetop I should say, and make sure that you have an adult with you. Let's get baking. All right, so the first step that we're gonna wanna do is mash our potatoes. So I am using shredded hash brown because that to me just seems like an easier way of mashing your potatoes. But if you do want to use actual potatoes, all you do is peel them, boil them, and then cut them up to mash them. But as I said, I'm going to put some hash brown into a microwave safe bowl. We're gonna need about 1 pound of this, so 1 bag of hash brown should do. And then I'm gonna put this in the microwave just for a couple of seconds to kind of warm it up because it's been in the freezer for a bit, and then mash it up using my hands, fork, and spoon. If you do have a potato masher at home, that would also be a great tool to use. If you are putting it in the microwave or even just boiling it and want to use your hands, make sure you are extra careful that the food is cool to touch so you don't burn yourselves. So I'm gonna put it in the microwave and we'll start mashing. All right, so I have my potatoes out of the microwave, my little hash browns, and I'm just squishing them together with my hands. This is a lot of fun, a lot of texture. And as you can see, it's not like perfectly mashing, but it's getting together like this, which is what we want. We're not making mashed potatoes, we're just getting it where the potatoes will just stick together. So, on to the next step. All right, so our next step, now that we have our potatoes all nice and mashed up, we're going to be putting everything in but our cheese. So we're gonna start off with 1 or 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil. So I'm gonna put 2 tablespoons in. 1, 2, give it a good tap. Then we're going to put 1 teaspoon of salt in. You want to make sure you don't put too much salt in because then the taste will be a little salty. And then put 1 teaspoon of pepper in. And now we are going to be putting in a 1/2 cup of parsley. Good cap. Now we're going to be cracking our egg. This is something that you want to be careful with because you don't want to put any of the shell into the mixture because that would not be fun eating your delicious meal only to take a bite and have an egg shell in there. So if you need an adult's help on that one, go for it. Then we're gonna put a cup of flour in. We're just putting everything in all at once. And I kind of like it when steps are like this. And just dump it all in. Okay. is going to help everything kind of stick together. And the last thing that we're going to put in before we start is, can I find the measurement? 2 tablespoons of baking powder. All right, and now, similar to what we did before with the potatoes, if you want to use your hands, or if you want to use a spoon, go for it, or both. I might be doing both, just to know that it's getting nice and mixed in there. Just be very careful, because if we start stirring too fast or going too fast with our mixture, flour is going to get everywhere. So, as you see, I'm just using my hand, mix it in. We also want to make sure that the egg is nice and mixed in there. We don't want scrambled egg with our potatoes. And then again, you want to make sure that everything is nice and together. Swipe around the sides. And you should get a mixture that you can make a ball with like this. And that is what the flour helps us do. All right, so now we are going to move on to our next step. All right, so the next part I gave a little close up to, because we're going to be focusing on what's happening right here. So we're going to want to take our flour and just take a pinch and kind of sprinkle it like this. This is going to help it not stick to our counter, table, wherever you're doing this at, and also give some more resistance to our mixture. So now we're going to be taking our mixture and putting it on top of our flour, just like that. Any extra that you have, you're just going to kind of place on top. All right, so now I'm going to want to use my hands or a rolling pin, whatever you prefer, but I feel like using my hands today. And we are going to be making a circle. So I'm gonna edge it around like this. And we kind of want to make sure that it's nice and even. So one piece isn't thicker than the other, nice and even. So that looks pretty good to me. All right, move on to the next step. So the next thing that we want to do is, with an adult, use a knife. And we are going to cut our dough in half to make 2 pieces. So, just like that. Now, I'm going to take 1/2. I'm gonna roll it back up into a ball. Just like this, and we're gonna put it to the side. And now I'm going to do the same thing to this side. Again, any pieces that fall out, just stick it back on there. Okay. And now we are going to make a smaller circle. Again, using our hands or a rolling pin, whichever you prefer. And you're gonna wanna make sure again that this is as even as possible. And we wanna make sure that's in a pretty good circle. Just like that. And we will be doing the same thing with this dough, but we have a couple of things to do on this piece first, and then we will get to that dough. On to our next step. All right, so our next step, we are gonna be taking our block of mozzarella cheese, and again, using a knife, or if you have a cheese cutter at home, use that. And we're going to slowly slice some cheese. You don't want it to be super, super thick, but you also don't need it to go really thin either. So what we're going to do is, oh, my pieces are a little bit long. So I'm gonna kind of cut them in half like that. And we're going to want to make a clock. Oh, I realized my block of cheese is in the way. Oh my goodness. All right, so yours should be looking a little like this. So mine was able to fit 7 pieces, but if your dough is a little bit bigger, it could have more pieces on it. Because again, who doesn't like cheese? So now I'm going to be taking my other side of dough, and since I don't really have room to show you right here, I'm just going to kind of do it here. But we're gonna be putting this on top of this, kind of like making a sandwich of sorts. So we're gonna wanna try to get it to be about the same size. And if you need to add some more flour to get it to kind of stick better, go for it. Be very careful because the potato is probably gonna wanna come apart a little bit. And now we're going to put it on just like this. So you should have a mound of potato and cheese. And now again, with your adult, we're gonna be taking a knife and we're going to be, I'm gonna have to peek a little bit to see where my piece of cheese is. But we're gonna want to create little slices like this. Make a little pizza slice. And now with the corners, pinch them together to make sure that our cheese cannot escape when we start cooking it. So that's what it should look like for you. We're gonna repeat this process until all of our pieces are little triangles. All right, so for this next step, we're gonna wanna make sure that we have adult supervision. So we're gonna be using our frying pan, our vegetable oil, our stovetop, and then our potatoes, cheesy potatoes. So we're gonna want to put just a little bit of vegetable oil in our frying pan, just a little bit, and kind of swoosh it around like this. And you're gonna want to make sure that the vegetable oil spreads pretty much all over the bottom of the frying pan. It's kind of a little fun game of being like, how far can I get this? And if you're noticing that it's not going too far, just add a little bit more. You just don't want it to put a lot of vegetable oil in because once the fryer gets hot, you don't want any oil splashing on you because that would really hurt. So again, make sure that you have an adult with you during this part. I also suggest using a spatula, or I have a fork because I do not have a spatula. So now I'm going to put my fryer on. I'll give it a moment to kind of heat up a bit, and then I'm going to be putting my potato on. Now, if you want to make sure that the potato is kind of smushed down, because then it'll cook more evenly and faster. So I try to get mine to be as smushed as they can, without revealing the cheese hidden within. All right, so I think we're ready. So very carefully, we're gonna be putting it on, and we just want to keep an eye on it. My pan is a little bit on the smaller side, so I really can only fit one, maybe two, but I'm just gonna stick with the one. But if you are using a bigger pan, you can put more than one. So it's all sizzling. I don't know if you can hear it, but I'm gonna give it a little bit, and then I'm gonna flip it. And you're gonna repeat this process over and over until it's a nice crispy brown. So I'm gonna start frying mine, and I will see you in a bit. Alrighty, and there we have it. We made some cheesy potato pie. I hope that you enjoyed. As you can see, mine came out in different shapes. Some cheese melted out, and that's totally okay. The important part is that they are nice and delicious to share with our friends and family. So I will see you next time. Have a good day.